But I've always got beats, always got stuff to work on.
Do you ever produce yourself, or is it all just?
Nah. Years and years ago I did, but like that was Fruity Loop days growing up. Like, I just don't bother. There's no way I'd even get into it now. To be honest, I don't think.
So have you always been spitting, or is it you've transitioned from that to?
I was a raver mainly, and I thought, how can I go out raving for free? And I started promoting. I was like, doing my own kind of promotions to get acts into my hometown that I was from. So that was like my route in one way. I did a little bit of music, but not seriously. I wasn't like deep in the game, spitting. Yeah.
And when you're going out, what's your genre? Are you going to drum bass raves, or are you bass line, or is it just
everything?
Anything?
Used to go to like bashment dances, everything, man. Like I don't care. I was out every weekend, regardless. So any kind of parties that were actually on, I would just go to anyway, just for the fun of it.
Sick.
I just love music.
As you know, we've spoken a bit before just about questions and things and the sort of topics I want to cover. And the first one is about your recent track with My New Lang. You've obviously been touring with them for a long, long time, working with them. You've got quite a good relationship with them.
Amazing.
Just as a bit of background, how long have you actually been sort of like working with the boys, and how did you actually get to meet them?
I think it's going to be 6 years this year, but obviously this year has been just a write-off. So
yeah,
we was just kicked off our tour that was happening this year, just before lockdown, and then that all got crashed. But they had like a party house in Bristol. So I remember I used to just go there 4 or 5 in the morning, and there'd be a little party going on, and just kind of met him through that, really, just through association of like ravers and partying. And we got to travel to a show together at one point, because they didn't live too far from where I lived at the time in Bristol, and we've just got on so well, like instantly, just really well.
Yeah, you definitely got a good chemistry all together.
Yeah.
It works so well. But your track came out Hospital Records
worldwide.
Worldwide, of course. It surprised me, and I'm sure it surprised lots of people. That was actually your first track together. So how did it take 5 years to come about?
We have made other tunes. Like everybody who knows like My New Lang, it's like quality over quantity. Like they only make like the highest quality tracks ever. Like their production levels are sick. And we've done other ideas, but we played one like almost like 2 years afterwards, and it sounded better now than it did at the time.
Okay.
So that was like an idea, and we've got other little ideas on the go, and we said we're going to be doing another one soon. But just that is it really. It's just quality over quantity. And then when we said if we do something, we'll have something that no one's not really expecting. Like it was my first release on Hospital as well.
Sure. I'm just gonna jump in quick because your audio's just your video is just frozen. So
is it frozen now?
It's frozen. Oh, and you're back. There you go.
Oh, mine was clear on my side.
Yeah, no, don't know what that was, but I heard you perfectly fine. But yeah, what's the response been like to that track coming out then, and people knowing that that's what the first one was? Did you feel there was a lot of pressure on you being the first one that you've dropped as a trio?
If you kind of know me, like I don't really deal with pressure, if that makes sense. And like it's the same, like I don't really get nervous about stuff. I get more like excited about anything I'm doing, or so I don't really have pressure. And like I do stuff mainly I just do stuff for me, but if it just feels good and feels natural. So
sure,
I take criticism, but I don't really get fazed by people's opinions or whether, do you know what I mean? Like, so pressure, I didn't have any pressure on me at all. I was just having a vibe.
Just excited for it.
Yeah, I'm just having a vibe. So like, none of that is like ever phases me, really, to be honest. Like,
I guess you just knew it was a banger from the offset then. So
yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, I like working, and I just like being in the studio, and I like just working on tunes.
So you're in studio now. You've
Yeah.
already mentioned a couple people you've got verses to do for. Sort of taking it back, how did you like first start getting on these verses? How did you get people sending you beats? Were you reaching out to people? Were people reaching out to you?
I think I had to kind of reach out to people. I feel like I've had like stuff like people say, "Oh, you're just an MC, you're just a hype man," but I'm happy to be an MC and a hype man. And then there was a point where I just wanted to kind of work towards doing my own EP. That was like, I said I didn't want to be doing music this whole time and not have something for myself to like show for it.
Sure.
And I might have done an odd verse or I did a dub plate here and there for certain people like growing up, but nothing that was really, I don't know, solidified me as a vocalist, and been on the different kind of like management advice from people and stuff saying, "Oh, you're not really a vocalist," but that's all cool. And I was just kind of just enjoying hitting up people. So I feel like you have to kind of prove yourself sometimes. So I was working with lots of people who would give me beats, and then now I'm in a position where I get beats from some of the biggest producers like all over. But I'm still very much into new music, whatever background you're from or whatever level you're at. Like somebody messaged me the other day saying, "Oh, you don't like me because I'm not established." And I was like, "Brev, you definitely don't know me, because I work with Ed. If the beat's good to me, I will just work with you. I don't care who it is." And I treat everybody the same. Like I've got given an instrumental from Tiesto and it was a sick beat, but I gave him the stems how I give other people stems. And then his management was asking for like more stems from me. And I said, unless you're going to pay for the sessions, I'm not giving you more stems. And I said, it might be like ignorance on my part and I might have missed out on that. But I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm being used, and I want to just treat everybody fairly.
Yeah.
So regardless of what level people are at, regardless of what level people are at, I just want to work. Like, and I felt like I did a good job on that Tiesto beat, and I liked it a lot. And hopefully they'll send me more like that in the future. But I just try and treat everybody the same. Yeah. And that's just how I am. And I hope I'll always be that way. Like, because anybody could be a star at any given point, really. Like, I saw Disclosure even today said they've been in the game for 10 years. And I remember seeing them, must be about 8 years ago. Maybe 9 years, 9 years ago. Yeah. And
and now they're headlining.
Yeah, they're like the biggest, some of the biggest DJs in the world, basically, of that sound. And like, you never know who's going to be massive.
So talking about yourself and sort of your career path, is there one sort of defining moment that was like a turning point for you, that you knew that things were like on the up and you were sort of going to blow in the way that you have?
I don't think I've blown. I don't know about, I'm still grinding. I'm like proper grinding. I'm working on music like I've never even had a release, if that makes sense.
Like, you talk about these names like My New Lang, like Tiesto, and you seem very humble about it, but there's no doubt that you're one of the like top MCs in the game. So surely there was a point where it stopped just being your mates and that sending you beats, and you actually started like noticing that things were picking up momentum. I don't know. I think me getting booked at Glastonbury was a turning point. But even then, I was working my ass off, and I didn't even think it was that big a deal. Like, so I got a friend, R.I.P. to Brownie. He's passed away now. But he was on the road with me when I was doing all the shitty clubs, like every show. He was on the road with me, and he was the one who kind of brought me in as a DJ. He's DJing drum and bass, DJing garage music, and I wasn't the best MC in my clique of friends. Like, so, but he was on the road with me when I'm starting to like come up and do things. So when I got the Glastonbury ticket, I was like, bruv, you have to come. You're going to have to come. And then I saw my girl, who I'm married to now, like my wife. And I was like, I got booking for Glastonbury. She gasped and she went, And then from her reaction, I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to think the ticket's for her. And then, and then she's looking at me and she says, and you got another ticket? And I was like, yeah.
And then she said, I said, who's it for? And I said, well, for you. And she said, oh my God. She said, if you weren't going to say me, I was going to just end our relationship there and then. And I was like panicking. I was like, shit. Like, oh my days. I had to ring back up. And then I was like, listen, who else could I do sets with? What else can I do to get an extra ticket? I told one of the organisers what had happened. I just had to tell him the truth. I said, my best friend's been with me on the road for all these years. I got him this Glastonbury ticket, blah, blah. And then I had to get a ticket for my partner, Alice. But I was just hustling. So I ended up having to host about 5 or 6 sets to get that extra ticket for my girl. But the night before, I did some dub plates for Clips, who is Red Light, and he was just going to do this. He's doing a set for Radio 1 with Annie Mac on the Thursday night, and I was in my bedroom in my house in Cheltenham, where I lived, and I was listening to like the dub plates that I did for him, and then we did this thing where he's kind of transforming kind of out of Clips into Red Light. And I was doing all these mad, like, crazy animal noises, like for the last 15 minutes of the set. And I'm listening, and I was like, geez, I'm going to be there tomorrow. But I've never camped at a festival before. I've been to some festivals, but
really?
I was like, yeah, I'm not camping. I'm not into that. And yeah, and I had like the best time in my life. I was there with my best friend, and I was there with who is my wife now. And that Glastonbury was incredible.
Yeah. So would that be a highlight for live shows? Is that like your top live show, or where would you pick?
It was in a way where I was like, I realized if you hustle and you get on people and you let people know, because I left one stage and I remember having to run to another stage to get to my other set, because obviously I ended up doing so many sets. And even my other friend that was there, he said it was so funny. They said they could hear my voice in one area, then like half an hour later they said, oh, we're gonna go somewhere else, and it was my voice again in this other part of like Glastonbury.
They can't escape it.
Yeah, they couldn't escape. That was it. So
all these sets, all these different stages, whether it be at the same festival at Glastonbury that year or wherever else in the world, how are you keeping yourself motivated every single show, keeping the energy up, keeping it entertaining?
To be honest, I kind of would say no drink or drugs. Like if I have a drink, I have it after the set. Like I don't have a drink hardly ever. I would practically say never. I never have a drink before I do a set or a show. And even if I do have a drink, usually it's back at the hotel, or it's like late in the back room. And then if I am going to have a drink, I am going to get smashed. I'm just like, you know what? If I'm going to drink, let's just go for it. Let's just go all out. Like, yeah, that's just my vibe.
Celebrate the hard work finishing.
Yeah. So, and I'm always working. So most of the time I wouldn't. If I know I got a show the next day, I wouldn't be drinking. And I like getting up. And I used to roll around with my recording equipment everywhere.
Okay.
On the plane, I'd take it abroad. I'd just be recording in the wardrobe. When I got to like, say if I got to Geneva or anywhere, like everywhere I was going, I was just bringing my recording equipment. So I'm always just trying to work.
So as sort of drum and bass and bass line and such are kind of born in the UK genres, what's sort of like the reception when you go abroad to another country? You mentioned Geneva. Do you still get the same energy? Or
yeah,
is it completely
I
different?
feel like you get more appreciated when you go abroad because they don't have it as much.
Okay.
Not so much in the States. I went to the States last year and it was really, really good. But their scene is growing massively and they've got some super DJs. But when you go to Europe, I felt like the hospitality and the treatment they give you is just so much better, so much nicer. I've been to Russia a few times and I've had like some of the best times out there.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Like some of the places I've got to go to and see the response of the music, and it's quite overwhelming sometimes when you see how they know certain tunes.
Is there anywhere you haven't yet ticked off your bucket list?
Australia and New Zealand. Like,
okay.
I've been wanting to go there for a long time and I feel like I got a small fan base there. And another place I want to go to is Japan.
Okay, yeah.
And I felt like all those places were in reach until COVID, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
I actually felt like they were in reach.
For sure, yeah, especially with the tours. And you mentioned your My New Lang tour. You've been touring for years and years. And now being a husband and, correct me if I'm wrong, a father of 2.
Yeah.
How do you sort of balance your life between the shows, the family, the studio, and all the bits in between?
I'll be honest, my partner is amazing. Like, I couldn't ask for a better person to be with. Like, she doesn't give a fuck about the music. She's not even a fan of any of my work. My little daughter's a bit of a fan, but my daughter she'll take the piss. Like, she'll rip me to pieces on certain tunes or certain vibes. But this is what I do. Like, I don't watch telly, and I do watch telly, but hardly at all. Like, we watch a series and it will take months for us to watch a series. Like, and I've watched I did an interview about maybe 2 months ago, and I hadn't watched a single film since lockdown. Like, I haven't watched a single film, like, for myself, the whole of lockdown until recently. And even now, it's only been a few films, a couple of things on Netflix. Because all I do is just spend time on music when I've got spare time, and I do a bit of part-time work doing like social work practice, and I just spend it with the family. And my partner's quite on. Even tonight when I said I'm going to come to the studio, she said, why can't you do the interview at home? And I was just like, well, you can see how live I get. Like, there's no way that I could do this in the house, because I just can't talk normally. Like, I just can't be chilled, really.
Do you think you'd be able to do it at home, or is it that you need to go to
I need to get out. Like, my house, like, nah, I can't do it at home. And then when we was in lockdown, my kids broke my MacBook within the first week.
Oh,
so when we get into lockdown, I said, I bought like small studio stuff to, like, so I could record. Like, it was just, but actually worldwide, I recorded that. That was like the only tune that got recorded before the MacBook broke.
Is that in a lockdown one?
Yeah, and that was like in the first 2 weeks of lockdown, and my partner, in the background, Jamo messaged me and said, "Oh, Alice is killing me," like, because she said, really, she was laughing her head off, like, when I was like doing the vocals, like, that's just how she is. But she's really loving, she's really caring, and she understands that I'm working for the family, but now she's the main breadwinner. Like, she's a midwife,
sure, so
she's the one who's working. I'm at home a lot with the kids, and I'm working from home doing like the social work practice and do a couple of visits to see young people now and again. But
that's pretty full on.
Yeah, and then
are your kids sort of like switched on to what you're doing as well? Obviously,
they're like deep in it. My daughter's like, I'd say my daughter's like one of my biggest fans, in a way. Like, I think she's quite proud of what I do. I think I'm embarrassing at the same time. Like, she says she's embarrassed, but she'll tell her friends about me and stuff like that, and she knows certain tunes, and there is certain tunes that I've made that are based off her. I've got a tune with Gentleman's Club. I got a tune with Gentleman's Club, and the idea came from me just spitting bars to my little one that morning. And I got a tune with Foundry called Bubblegum that I wrote because of my daughter.
Oh, that's sick.
So I get inspired by anything that's around me, really, but them two inspire me a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, as yourself, you seem like a really sort of inspired and positive person. How do you sort of deal with any like negativity or setbacks you face?
I might be wrong, like, I don't know if people might think, oh, he's arrogant or he's a bit of a prick, but I feel like you have to have setbacks, because otherwise you've got nothing to kind of push you or drive you. But there might even be setbacks. Like, I work with people who get frustrated when a certain label don't sign the tune, but it's either this tune's not either good enough, or they don't really understand the vibe that you're aiming for. And if you really believe in it, you could just self-release the tune yourself and do it that way. But there's so many labels to hit. But I don't get upset. If a label don't want a tune, I'm not even phased at all. I'm like, what? There's one tune that this label turned down. And I was like, and then maybe not 2 months, but about a month later, they come back and said, actually, we'll take that tune for this compilation. It was the best-selling tune on the compilation by far. But I said to them at the time, when they come back to ask me back for the tune, I was like, I said, I was shocked you said no. I was like, because I was like confident. I said, this tune's a banger. Like, this tune's sick. Like, and it was the best tune on the compilation by far. And I'm working on tunes at the moment, and some labels have turned them down. But I said to the guy, I think it's a bit too different, but the tune will catch on. But don't worry about it, because I release tunes a year, 2 or 3 years down the line. Some tunes are like 3 years old that have come out recently. Like, but if you make something fresh and new, it doesn't really date. Like, it will still sound new. Like,
sure.
And but I feel like you have to have setbacks. Imagine if you don't have any setbacks. Like, everyone would just be this like arrogant dick. Like, do you know what I mean? About the time. And sometimes it's like, it's good to kind of have some knockbacks and setbacks, and things don't fall into place in a way, because you need that to know that, you know what I mean, you're putting in the work, or you're putting in the grind, or you have to make it better. Because I sent loads of people send me beats. I'll get beats nearly every single day. And I will quickly message people back saying, actually, you need to spend more time on the mix down. And even if you do a tune with me, there's loads of back and forth sometimes. I'm on version 17 on this one tune and this is a huge producer in the game, but it's like stuff that he's got back from the label that he's approached. He's made some changes, I've made some changes, and I said to it, we're still not even finished yet. We'll get to version 20 before it actually comes out, and it's on version 17. So there is a lot
of back and forth between yourselves and the producers.
Loads. Like, I've worked with Tengu on this track called Infected, but if we listen to the earlier version, I was like, nah, it's not good enough, and we went back and forth like loads, and it was the tiniest thing that needed changing, and I said, I'm gonna re-record it, like, because that took a little time to get done, and it was the most tiniest thing that needed changing, but I said, well, we might as well just make it perfect if we can. Like,
do you ever sort of get frustrated with sometimes having a vision for a track that a producer then doesn't like agree with? So say you go on a track like Mad you just had with Mofo, where you came in with that crazy aggressive vocal, which I absolutely love, but have you ever had a sort of like conflict where you've sent that back and he's gone, this is completely not the vibe that I'm looking for?
Bruv, I get it all the time. Do you know what? I'm going to tell you that, listen, so a massive DJ in the scene, got a really respected big label. We talked roughly about an idea that he had for a producer he wanted to hook me up with. So we kind of had a rough idea about what kind of vibe we wanted to go on, yeah? And I recorded it. So they sent me the beat on the Wednesday. By the Thursday, I recorded it. So they had it straight away. Then the producer of that said, that's not the vibe he was looking for the track. And I said, that's fine. Like, there's no drama. I re-recorded something completely different that day. And by Friday, he got the stems, a new set of stems, and he wrote back, perfect. He said, this is sick. I'm going to listen to it over the weekend. This is what I was looking for. The vocal that they didn't like originally, I just sent to another producer. By Saturday, I had another tune ready to go. And the guy's like, this is sick. Like, so it doesn't ever bother me about a producer's not using a vocal, because I can't even tell you. Like, one of my biggest tunes is a track called Filthy with Volak and Dr. Fresh. Like, two massive acts. Like, and originally I wrote that vocal for a big kind of like techie house and like house producer, and they just sat on it for nearly a year. And I said, you can't expect. And I asked them about the tune, and they said, oh yeah, we're not sure. Then they did a different version, and then we didn't communicate for ages. So I just gave the vocals to I sent it to Volak originally, and that's happened loads. Like, and I'd never fall out with anybody about anything, like, because I don't want it. I got no reason to. I just want to work. Like, so if somebody doesn't use a vocal after a year or a year and a half, you'll probably hear it on another tune. So nobody can't get upset or vex about it. Like, unless they paid for the vocal beforehand, that vocal is gonna get used down the line. Yeah. And I don't really hardly give out vocals to anybody at all, because I get asked all the time. I'd rather write to a beat, and then if I've got a relationship with certain producers and I know they can deliver a job on it, then I'll give them a vocal. But
sounds good. So speaking now just about what you've been doing recently. Obviously, I mentioned the Mofo tune.
Yeah.
You seem to have like a new release out every week.
Yeah.
What's some of like the biggest ones you've had recently?
Right. So my biggest ones are not the biggest in numbers or streams, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
So I've got a tune assigned to a major with 4 Majestic called Fresh. That's done amazing numbers. And that tune is like 2 years old, and it got synced to like a Cause advert. That's
signed
done
by Warner.
Yeah, so that's done great for me. Like, that's just amazing to know that that's happened, that tune. But like a personal track of mine is Messy, that I done with Taiki Nulight, and he sent me. We did that tune in March. Hold on, not last year. We did that in tune.
It was
That's
this
2
year.
years. No, it's 2 years. So like,
and it came out this year.
Yeah. So basically, we did it when we made Kush, and we said we're just going to sit on it for a year and just tease it. And he sent me a version on the day of my wedding saying, oh yeah.
Okay.
So, and then a whole year later, we released it on my anniversary. Like, so I said that's like my wedding gift from him. So, and that's like a personal tune for me. And like, I play FIFA now.
You associate that tune.
Yeah, and I play FIFA all the time, and I only play with Barcelona, and obviously Messi's always on, just on early football talks really anyway. So that's like a personal tune for me, like I've done. And I'm literally just working on loads and loads of music, like all the time.
Have you got anything that you can tease for us, as in name drops or anything like that, or do you rather keep it all under wraps?
Name drops? I'm not really... Right, so I've done a tune with Phlegmatic Dogs, yeah? And I can't even get hold of them. And all I get videos, because they're still having parties out in Russia. But I'm getting I'm getting videos of them playing it out, and like people tagging me in it. And I'm like... But I even heard from them. But we've got a sick tune. And I remember I made the vocals ages ago. Like ages ago. But they sent me a folder, and there's just... They got some serious beats. Like, it was just mental to pick from, like the beats to pick from.
Yeah, they're tough.
I'll mention one guy, because I've been wanting to work with a guy called Matroda for ages. And
I've not heard of him.
Oh, he's massive. And I think he's from Croatia. But so he sent me 2 things before, but he hasn't used them. But one of the vocals I used for a different project, which has done well. And he sent me something recently, and I'm hoping he does take it. But even if it doesn't, I'm still hoping to send me stuff further down the line. Like, I don't actually get agitated or funny about things, because it's just weird how certain things just work out. Like, another guy, Bijou, like he's amazing. So he was sending me stuff from America. But it weren't until I actually got to America. We had a studio session. We was in the studio all night, and we made like 2 tunes. We released one earlier this year on Night Bass. But I had like the best time with him, like in the studio, just vibing. And even the engineer that was in the studio that day, me and the engineer are still friends now, and we still speak now. So those kind of connections are always good for me. Like, and there's another girl called Kendall. Like, we never met each other before, but we've worked on a number of tracks now, and we just dropped something recently, like Never Sleep. But when I was in the States, like, I knew we was going to get on anyway. Like, it's just a weird, like, kind of connection that we just have. And, like, she's just great. She's just great to work with. Like, and
it sounds like you've got so many good relationships with people as well. Like,
I just kind of vibe. I have to big up, like, anyone that sent me beats. And even if tune doesn't work out, we're able to like learn from that, and both of us can get something from it, really. Like, I've had some amazing sessions. Like, I've had some amazing sessions with like Red Light. I've had like an amazing recording session with like Chris Lorenzo. But then there's like young guys that have come through. There's a guy called Me, like ME. He's working and doing stuff. There's a guy called like Sleeper. 9 Train sent me something that I've been sat on for ages.
Sick.
And I said, he's like, I've been saying to him, I said, the beat's so sick, I want to make sure I can give it justice. But if I can't, you're going to have to give it to somebody else, like somebody bigger. But please, just give me some time, because I need some time to like sit on this one and work on it.
Do it justice.
Yeah, and there's a guy called Elijah from Bristol, young, like I've seen him grow, and like he's developing so much, like it's sick. And he's given me a beat, and I've been waiting to do something sick on there that's like proper. But I've also got like some tunes I'm really excited about, but they're going to be for next year. But what I did do in October, November, I didn't say it out. I was going to write it as a tweet or put it out on Instagram saying I'm going to drop a release every week in January. And then I said, rather than say it, I'm just going to do it and see if anybody clocks on. And then I was speaking to all the labels I was working with, all the artists, and making sure that the dates kind of tallied in perfectly. So I had one every week in January. Then it went on to February. Then it went on to March, then April, then May. And literally only about 2 weeks ago, I had like a 2-week gap of no releases. And what I did in August is I dropped a drum and bass release every week.
Wow.
Because I thought I hadn't done any drum and bass tunes really that much. And then it just worked out nicely that I could just do all drum and bass mainly in August. And that's what I got. And even now I'm like kind of back and forth with a couple of releases that I got in October, trying to sort out. But I've got tunes I'm sat on for ages. And that Mofo one that you like, that is about 2 years old, maybe more.
Yeah.
And another label wanted to take it on last year, but they wanted the female vocal off, and I was like, no way. I said, even though I really respect the label and I like the label, I said that vocal to me is special, unique, and I wrote it with the artists in the studio, and I just wanted people to have their own perception of the tune, like whatever they think it is.
Yeah, sure.
And I want people to have that on any of my tunes. Like,
have you got anyone now that you haven't worked with that you're still waiting for a beat from?
Charmy and Malar.
Straight away, you knew that was going to be your answer.
Yeah.
You've been waiting for time.
Yeah. So I've released on Charmy's label, and he's actually signed another tune to his label, I think in November. So that's great. And I know that they've supported like my tunes, but I've never met them. And
now you're just waiting for the
moment. I want to do a tune with them too. Who else? Anyone that's I can't pronounce his name, but like Vladimir Kashai or something like that. He wears this white mask.
I don't want to try to pronounce it either.
Yeah, but it's like Vladimir. But it's sick. He's sick. Like But I spoke to him a couple of times. Like we've messaged each other a couple of times because I wanted to see him when he came to London last year, but I couldn't. I had a show on somewhere else, and I couldn't get there. And he's only in the UK for the one day, which is annoying. Yeah,
fair enough. So, looking forward now, obviously these times are quite uncertain and that, but assuming things go back to normal, talking next sort of like 3 or 5 years, have you got like an end goal or things you want to achieve?
My main goal is like kind of what we said at the start. I want to do my own EP at some point.
Yeah, that's still up there.
Yeah, and the problem that I do have is I vocal a lot of tunes, and there's tunes that I don't put my name to. So even when I've had like a really horrible, not kind of like a dig, but somebody's saying to somebody else that, oh yeah, I'm not really into dread, wouldn't play my tunes, but then they played 2 of my tunes in their set. But that's because they didn't know it was my vocal. But I said, people shouldn't be like that. That's just like bad energy. Like if you're into music or you're into a certain tune, just play that tune, like regardless of who it. Like, do you know what I mean? I said, so they just look stupid for doing that. Like that's just dumb. And to even kind of say those kind of things, like that's not my vibe or my energy. Like I just want to make music on my EP that's kind of a reflection of the best of me, but I don't even know what that is. So that's why I'm not even in a rush. I've got tunes I've been sat on for like, there's going to be 4 years coming on now. And a couple of people have heard them in my circles and said, you need to release that tune. Like you need to do that one. And I'm like, it's not ready yet. And I've got one tune that's ready for next year. that I've been sat on for a while, and I'm just so happy about it. And I said, that's the kind of direction I want to go. But I'm not even sure what I want to do. I just want to carry on doing what I'm doing. I said my goal was 3 years ago, is like, I want to just flood the scene so everybody knows me all over the world. Like, I just want everyone to be like, yeah, Dread MC's sick, or Dread MC can vocal this tune, or Dread MC can, and I want to just cover every genre so everybody knows me as a vocalist, flood the scene, and then just come back and just be like, yeah, this is my body of work when I have it. But at the moment, sick. I'm so happy with music. I'm so happy with the music I get sent. I'm so happy with the things I do. I've got like my little radio show with my best friend I do called Mali and Dread. And we've just been asked to do another separate show that hoping to develop on. I'm working on a short film at the moment with someone, and going to incorporate like music into that as well.
Nice.
And I'm just doing lots of little projects that I'm enjoying, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, we've completely gone through all the talking points that I wanted to go through.
Nah, it's good questions. You weren't like a bullshit interview in a way, so it was just like nice questions to get like in-depth answers from.
Yeah, and it's just nice hearing you speak, because from my point of view, up until now, obviously now, through Bass Hive, I've managed to speak to a lot of people in the industry, but actually getting sort of a behind the scenes, getting to chat to someone like yourself about it all was really interesting, and I hope people.
Nah, you've been getting loads of love. Honestly, the love you've been getting about Bass Hive has been massive, and I want to see you do well from it, man.
Appreciate that. Yeah, well, we just hit 500 on Instagram, and hard work's just about to start, so we're going to keep going. But I just wanted to finish by saying thank you for the support you've shown, because from early you've shown some crazy support. And it's just, is there anything that you want to plug, anything you want to shout out?
Anything I want to plug or shout out?
Anything at all.
What have I got? Oh, listen, I want to big up, I don't know if these tunes are going to come out, like LeDuc. I want to big up Blaze, big up Greed, Digital Koala, and Event Horizon. Big up Taiki Nulight. I'm working with something with Red Light. But honestly, I'd say to people, collaboration is key. So if there's people that people want to reach out to, don't be afraid to reach out to them. Like, I've been telling more and more people, if you're stuck on a beat, on a tune, just hit somebody else up to see if they can add a melody into it, or just bring some life into a tune, or get a vocalist in there. Like, it's too easy to go and get like a sample. Like, I got sent a sample the other day of a vocal. I had to go on about this producer, and I said to him, I don't think I'm the best one for the job, because I'm happy to give ever vocal. I said, you can go and hit up such and such, or this person, they might do a better vocal job. But I said, that vocal you got, even though it's decent, somebody else is going to use it. Within a week later, I sent another producer, a bassline producer, with the same vocal, like exactly the same. They didn't even pitch it up or anything like that. The same thing. And then I was just like, no way. And then I was listening to I listened to so many mixes and stuff. I heard like an EDM mix, same vocal again. I was just like go and get original vocals from artists.
Original sounds, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, because then no one's got it, and then you've got something unique and original. But tell people, collab with people as much as you can, and just try and make your own sound instead of copying other people. That's like the best thing I can say to people.